Today on the show, we cross the river of death, begin life as a stepdad, and practice communism. Welcome to Lore Party, the podcast that explores the stories, characters, and universes of our favorite video games. I'm Lawrence.
I'm Connor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to say? I was supposed to say that. I got that. I was like, oh shit, they didn't say. My bad. I was like, oh shit, I didn't remember.
Well, as you can hear now, we have a special guest on today's episode. You may have heard him on such podcasts as Winds Howling or On the Path, which is now a Last of Us podcast. We have the walking, talking Texan himself, Brett Cervantes, the Fox Bride.
Howdy, partners.
Welcome.
I pulled out a good bottle for y'all. I'm drinking a Weller Full Proof.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think Joel would approve.
Brett's obsessed with The Last of Us, like the rest of us, and so this episode has basically been just like a long time coming. Especially considering that there is some talk of communism. So, like, come on now. How could we not have Brett on this episode?
Let's say that's when the anthem clip needs to come in, right there.
Yeah.
As it comes. That's actually, that should come up when Tommy realizes they're communists. Someone needs to make that to where it just turns red and the anthem starts playing over his confused look.
Yeah, this episode's all about class consciousness, awakening, and the revolution. I think all the other themes are really going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, that and the great American game of baseball. Like so this episode has everything. So, but
baseball?
Baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Football.
You mean football?
No, there's
right?
baseball. I remember specifically there being a baseball bat in this episode. So.
Oh, yeah, the bat. Okay.
Oh, that too.
There you go.
Okay. So yeah, there's the discussion of first downs and turnovers, and then a bat.
It is the great American episode: baseball, football, and communism.
Yeah, this has everything.
Absolutely.
And alcohol.
And
And
hunting.
alcohol and hunting. Yeah, there you go. What an episode.
Yeah.
So, but before we get started, and it's an episode that is basically jam-packed with everything that a Texan would love, we have a little bit of housekeeping that we need to do.
That's right. We always love to hear from our listeners. So don't be shy. Feel free to email us anytime you'd like at podcast@loreparty.com with your thoughts, questions, episode ideas, any comments you want to share with us. Who knows? We might read them on a future episode. And if you want to get in touch with us directly, you can find Lawrence at producedby_LK. Remember that underscore. It's important. At producedby_LK on Twitter and Twitch.
Yes, and you can find Connor at Connor Howard VO. That is Connor with an ER on Twitter. And you can find him on his website at connorhowardvo.com with the ER.
That's right. And speaking of, Brett, where can our viewers find you if they'd like to hear more from you?
It would be Instagram and Twitch at the Fox Bride. Twitter is the Fox Bride 4. And as far as On the Path, it's available everywhere. You can search that up there. And as of right now, the social handles for that are Witcher Podcast, but those will be changing in the near future. But for now, go to @Witcher Podcast to find that out.
Do you have a national divorce from The Witcher?
It's more or less we're opening up our relationship.
Not filing for separation.
Yeah, there you go. Like The
kind
Last of Us, doing The Last of Us in here. So.
God. Yeah, no.
Yeah, see, little known fact, a Witcher is actually just a person who really likes The Last of Us. That's, we're claiming that term for the fandom.
Hey, they travel around with, they both travel around with kids.
An adopted.
It's true.
Yeah, like it's an adopted daughter, a grizzled old man. It's basically the same thing.
Just with magic.
It's close enough. Yeah. And of course, you can always connect with the entire Lore Party team if you'd like at Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at @lore_party.
Yes. And so before we kick off this most exciting episode, we're going to take a quick break right here.
Okay, we're back, and before we dive into the synopsis of episode 6 of The Last of Us on HBO titled Kin, this is your first and only official spoiler warning. If you haven't watched this episode yet, now would be a good time to pause, go get caught up, and then come right back, because we're about to get into all of it, all the spoilers. So you have been warned. The spoilers start here.
Yes. I also have some video game thoughts too, so those are going to pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Be prepared.
Yeah, if you haven't played the game, that's probably also going to be spoiled for you too.
Wait, I haven't played the game. Are we going to talk about the game?
Oof,
Wait, you haven't played the
awkward.
game?
I'm kidding.
Oh,
Lawrence,
I
you
was
know I have.
I was about to say, wait a
have.
minute. Yeah, I was
Just gonna say.
God
Y'all were
damn
like,
it.
uh-oh, wait a minute.
Hey, I was like, what the fuck, man? I swear to God, you played this
We
game.
need to rethink this
Wrong
guest
guest, yeah.
situation.
Right. Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Brett had to leave. He had to go back to his home planet right now.
Yeah.
That was just a preview of what it would look like if we had Brett on the show.
Well, Brett needs to go play the game real quick, and then we'll be right back.
Yeah, God damn it.
Yeah, so episode 5 of The Last of Us, which was Endure and Survive, concluded with obviously we all recall the shocking, dramatic, tragic ending of that episode. And that kind of leads us into number 6 here, because episode 6 starts with a flashback to Henry, who we met in episode 4, just shooting himself in front of Joel and Ellie, which was, again, like we discussed last time, never gets any easier to watch. And, this came after he was forced to kill his younger brother, Sam, who had been infected and was attacking Ellie. So that's shown to us at the beginning of episode 6 here, because that's going to come up later. And a reminder of what Joel and Ellie have been through, the struggles they've had so far.
So why do y'all think they showed this flashback? Because I can understand that they would show it on like a show that came out 20 years ago that was like syndicated on TV where you might not have had it. But in this, they literally do a recap before the episode, and it's streaming. You can kind of watch it anytime. So I was kind of surprised that they did it. The only thing I can think of is it's going to be because of the time jump they're about to show.
That's part of it, yeah, because we skip ahead a few months. But yeah, you're right, because like when you watch this show on HBO, you get that recap anyway. But I think, in the conversation that Joel has with Tommy later, he kind of mentions the Henry and Sam situation. So I guess like the directors were like, just in case the viewers skip the recap, we want them to we want to make sure they remember. Let's go ahead and traumatize
Relive
them again,
this
just
trauma,
to be
God damn it.
extra safe that they remember.
Yeah, and if you saw it one time and you're like, I don't want this recap, and then it's like, too bad.
Boom, again.
I think they're also. I also like to think that they're looking out for the pirates out there who won't have the recap when they watch it.
That's very fair. Someone needs to think about the pirates from time
Won't
to time.
somebody think of the pirates?
Somebody please think of the pirates.
This is the best way to start this episode.
As I'm just throwing like the stick in the spokes of y'all's show. I need to like pull it. Okay.
Well, hey, you're here to shake things up.
Yeah, that's why you had all that whiskey.
Well, no, I've only had a few sips. Wait until we get about halfway through.
Yeah, we'll see.
Wait till it hits 5 here, then I can actually do it. All right, so Kin begins with a flashback to the horrific end of the last episode. And after this reminder, previously mentioned, we jump to 3 months later, and I'll admit I missed that on the first go-around. I knew it kind of jumped to move around, but I didn't see that. Mm-hmm. Where a man returns to his cabin in the snow after hunting and finds his wife held at gunpoint by Joel. The man puts his gun down, and when he asks his wife why she didn't shoot him, she says, because the gun was all the way over there. And there was my line of the show already. Like, that was just the greatest thing.
It was beautiful.
In there.
Yeah.
And that he didn't hurt anybody. And she even makes him soup. Joel says that he's looking for his brother, and the man immediately says he hasn't seen him. Didn't take much time to think about it. The woman also reveals that Joel has a girl with him, and we see Ellie was hiding on the second floor. Joel tells her not to come down, but she does anyway because she doesn't fucking listen to anybody. Ellie, with gun in hand, comes down. The couple laughs at the little psycho, and Joel asks the man to show on the map where they are. And this actor is Graham Greene, legendary. If you watch a lot of movies, especially mainstay in the 90s, not just with Native American roles, and he's a member of the First Nations of Canada. He was in one of my favorite movies of all time, and my favorite Die Hard movie, Die Hard with a Vengeance, the third one, where he just plays like a random, regular New York City detective. So I was loved to see this guy in this role.
Yeah, me too. No, this was a treat because Yeah, Graham Greene is a powerhouse. He's great. And also, who plays his wife, Marlon and Florence here, they're played by Graham Greene, obviously, but also the actress Elaine Miles, who Graham Greene and Elaine Miles appeared together in a sitcom in the 90s called Northern Exposure.
Did you watch that show?
No, but I heard about it after seeing this. But what I know Graham Greene from is he was in a movie from, I think, a few years back called Wind River. Amazing movie, very very dark, brutal, but it takes place in the real life Wind River Reservation in Wyoming, which he actually mentions in this scene, the Wind River Reservation, which is in real life shared by the Arapaho and Shoshone tribes. So no, just really cool like little tidbits here, and just seeing these actors like show up was no, they were so much fun in this scene, big time.
I didn't know any of this, so like, so like,
Education today.
damn, I didn't know Graham Greene or any of this, so like, shit. So the man's answer disappoints Joel. The man says he hasn't heard of Tommy, and the woman clearly hasn't heard of the Fireflies either. When Joel asks for advice on going west, the man says, "Yeah, go east," and to never go past the river because that part of the river is death. Which I thought that was kind of interesting because like in the game, Jackson was never set up like this place where not a lot of people were welcome. Like
Right.
as we go to find out later, jumping ahead a little bit, but like I thought that was strange that like this place has this bad reputation. And as they say, like, they never see who is past the river, but they see bodies. So it's like infected and non-infected. So we get a sense that like people go to a certain part of the river, they encounter something, they get killed, and then most likely they're lining the bodies. They're placing the bodies where they can be seen, so that people that are passing through, know not to fuck with this area.
See, I was kind of hoping to see
Right.
that. They didn't show that, did they?
No,
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah,
see
like,
bodies on display.
How did they
anywhere,
get that
yeah.
reputation? I was hoping they were just going to show that, because it would have been, I think, a very good lead up into it as Ellie and Joel kind of walk by and they see bodies strung up or a sign in there or something in there to kind of visualize it.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, because I wanted to, because like I felt like they were trying to jumping ahead a little bit. I do think that they were trying to draw parallels between Joel and Tommy's wife to an extent, and I think like that would have been good to kind of showcase that, because I feel like in the beginning, as we'll talk about later, they tried to do that in this episode. They tried to be like, hey, you guys are sort of similar, but I thought the interesting part about this is like, yeah, they said they lined the bodies up, and they told him that Tommy would be gone if he's like west of the river or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they ask Ellie if she's scared, and she's like, or they ask if you guys are scared, and Ellie isn't, obviously, but then they were like, yeah, Joel seems scared, and so like Joel's just like not moving there, which is kind of weird because, once again, you play the game, you're not used to seeing Joel show any emotion, let alone fear.
Yeah.
So, they get the information and they're going to peace out. And, as they like leave the couple's property, Joel stops and grabs his chest and looks like he was having a heart attack for a second. I was like, damn, did they make Joel that old? Like, I know he's 5 years older, but like, shit, I thought Joel was like literally about to just like peace out in this episode. But he's like,
the way, I mean, as someone who's had panic attacks before, I kind of knew right off, like, okay, well, the breathing, the kind of like, just I guess the breathing was the giveaway for me. But like, I liked the way this was presented. It's like, no, that's pretty relatable. It's pretty lifelike, the way he just kind of doubles over and tries to catch his breath. And it's, it's obviously anxiety getting to him, fear getting to him, which, like you said, Lawrence, it's new for us having played the game. Like, no, we didn't expect to see that at all, for me at least.
I'm not sure how helpful Ellie was as she just blurts out, dude, you fucking dying?
yeah.
I don't think that's the proper response.
Yeah, especially when you're already having a panic attack. Like, because like that feeling that you get is just like an overwhelming sense of dread, and like you're getting pushed down, and it feels like you're dying. But yeah,
Yeah,
like, hey, you dying
much.
over there? And like, you got this like annoying kid that just keeps asking you questions
That fucking
over and
dying,
over
bro?
again. Yeah, like, what's going on? Hey, man. Hey, how are you doing? Hey. And I'm just,
She might as well have been doing that. Do you have any games on your phone?
yeah,
Thing? Like,
yeah.
like that kind of the same sort of thing
And like,
you'd hear from a kid. Yeah.
and what I really like in this scene, and then we can we jump over to the next part, like while he's regaining his composure, one of the things that she says to him that's just like, we see this more throughout the episode, is she's like, hey, if you die, I'm fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's funny because up until this point, it's like that's just kind of been their dynamic, and so we're used to Ellie not being serious, but like we find out that this is a little bit more serious than it initially comes off.
Right.
On that note you brought up there about Ellie not being as serious, when we left, when last episode ended, she was very much somber. She left that. It's not an etch-a-sketch. The little writing thing said, "I'm sorry."
The slate,
Then it's like,
yeah.
"All right, Joel, which way is so-and-so? Okay, let's go." And then we don't really see that here. We don't really see her mourn. We don't really see her almost compartmentalize what happened before. We jump 3 months later. It's the one thing I would like to say that I did not like about it is I thought at the end of last week's episode, at the end of episode Endure and Survive, episode 5, I literally thought, okay, Ellie's going to change. We're going to see something in there, and it didn't happen. Am I alone in that?
That's a fair point. I guess, what I think about is I think about parallels to the game a lot. In the game, around this time of the game, when they're in Wyoming and they're looking for Tommy, they come across a grave, and that reminds Ellie of, oh, I forgot to give Sam that robot I found for him or whatever.
Yeah.
And Joel shuts it down. He's like, we don't talk about that. It happened. We move on. Like, he's doing the compartmentalizing thing. And Ellie in the game says, what? I want to talk about it. Like, she wants to process it with him, but Joel's not, willing to do that. So yeah, in the show, we don't really see anything of the sort where Ellie's trying to get over it and struggling with it. I guess what I would say to be fair, like to be generous to the show, is like, it's been 3 months. Maybe she got over it in that time, but like, yeah, it didn't really come up again, other than the flashback. So that's not a bad point.
To me, it's like, if that didn't affect her, maybe it'll come up later. Maybe it will. Like, I'm not saying this is it. We obviously haven't seen the last episodes, but if it did not affect her, then it's almost in a way like, what was the point of it? Because I thought as soon as it happened, like, okay, this is going to change Ellie. She kept messing around. She kept putting this defense mechanism up of cracking jokes about it. And another person yet dies in it. We do see her mentioned later on. Everybody I've known, come into contact with, has either died or left me. So I guess that could be it. But yeah, I was just disappointed that this was not addressed more. Because if they would have put that in there, like you said, the graveyard scene, I think that would have been great as to show it. And it would have shown that Joel still has his defenses up too.
It's almost like the deaths of Henry and Sam in the game affected Ellie more, but in the show they affected Joel more. It's almost like they flipped it a little bit.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. I think, see, in this scene, okay, I will say I wasn't disappointed because I feel like what they're trying to show is that Ellie doesn't have as much room to push stuff down as Joel does. So like, that's why it's like, I want to see what happens next. Cause like, I think she had room for this, like had room to compartmentalize it, but I don't think that she's got nearly as much room as Joel does.
Yeah. King of compartmentalization over here, as we've said.
If you'll excuse me, I'm going to go write up a 750-word Reddit diatribe that this show sucks now and is ruined.
Yeah, you ruined it.
Ruined. Total garbage.
Yeah, you're supposed to have a meaningful conversation over a child's grave.
Yeah. L show.
Yeah. Terrible.
Still, the show continues to fail in showing me Joel gathering up duct tape and razor blades and sneaking around an office building. Until I see more of that, I'm off the wagon here. I can't put up with it anymore.
And what, Joel's killed like 2 guys? Come on now. By this point, I've killed like 45 people.
Yeah, those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up, man. HBO, get on it.
How many zombies are infected? Sorry, has he killed in the show?
2.
It's
just
2.
the clickers. Well, the infected guy at the Capitol building, there's one. The 2 clickers, I guess.
And then he shot a couple in the sniper?
Oh yeah, and then
I sniped a couple. Yeah,
and it's actually 3 humans because it's all of them are from Kansas. Yeah, exclusively killed people from Kansas.
He went crazy in KC.
Like he couldn't tell. He couldn't tell who the infected was because it's Kansas City.
Yeah, just all Kansas City, because he got that dude Anthony, and then he got the two people that were, fucked up the S10.
Brian.
Oh,
and
that's
the other
right.
two,
He got Brian and the other two.
He
Everyone in Kansas City just looks infected.
Yeah,
They all gotta die.
he really went to the whole like Jackie Chan, like I don't want any trouble, but he's like whooping your ass in Kansas City.
But he got it.
Hey, they won
got
the
trouble.
Super Bowl that week. They can't have everything. They got to take it in stride.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you give and take. So it's getting dark. The pair decide they'll try and cross the river in the morning, and they camp out for the night, where they eat the rabbit they took from Marlon and Florence, while Joel is taping his shoes back together. I like this because that's a detail about surviving in the wilderness that not a lot of media will show you, that your shoes will fall apart. When you spent the last 3 months walking from Missouri to Wyoming, your shoes will fall apart. And so, yeah, I like that he's taping his shoes back together with duct tape. So yeah, we're around the fire eating rabbit, chilling out for the night, and Joel actually shares some of his flask with Ellie, which is again like little things you're seeing here of trust building up between them, like the walls between, like, when Joel viewed her as just cargo, I don't think any of this would have been happening. So some of the walls are starting to come down a little bit, and they're just making small talk. Ellie wants to know, she's curious what happens after they find the fireflies, and hypothetically, the way they make the cure and everything works out, then what? So they start talking about the future, which, people in their situation, they probably don't spend a lot of time talking about, like, the future, because in their situation, tomorrow is as good as it gets, really. So, you can notice here that Joel kind of flinches at the idea, like he's not entirely comfortable with the idea that they're still together after the whole mission is over. But he plays along. He says, maybe I'll get a farmhouse or something. Maybe I'll raise sheep. I'll start a sheep ranch. So unexpected answer. I wouldn't peg Joel as a sheep guy, but
see what I liked about this is that answer. Like, I'm jumping ahead, so if you haven't played the first or the second game, sorry, but like this is the best part about this is, like, this is Ellie kind of did this in the second game, that whole I want a farmhouse with
the
sheep
farm thing.
Yeah. So I was like, I like that you guys threw that in there.
That's true.
But also, like, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like, hey, future isn't guaranteed, so why the hell are we talking about the future? Like, the future is now.
But if he's got a flask of something, he couldn't have been nursing that for 3 months. He's got to have a bottle in that backpack. So
he probably does.
I'm wondering what he's holding on to.
Yeah. Here's what it is. Here's the callback. It's Beaujolais from Bill's house, because Bill knew to pair rabbit with Beaujolais.
Ooh,
so
there you go.
In the past couple episodes, the one thing that they've showed us is that rabbit fits any style of life. It is a universal food.
That's true.
From surviving to, like, a high class, I own an entire town. Like, rabbit is the shit. Everybody.
The vegans might not like it, but otherwise it fits pretty much everybody.
They all definitely have to be dead. They all definitely
there are no vegans.
I doubt the vegans are still alive.
No, they're still alive. They've just given it up.
Yeah, they've gone full mushroom, because I feel like they're like, this is Mother Earth coming back.
That's true. They'd have to. Well,
plant-based society. Here
I'm gonna be a clicker.
They'd have to become that. Yeah. Jeez.
It's the ultimate vegan form.
If any of you psychos out there drink wine out of a flask, let me know. So Joel asks Ellie what she'll do, and she looks at the moon. Growing up in a quarantine zone where she was trapped by the ocean on one side and walls on the other in Boston, there was nowhere else to look but up. Ellie says she's read everything she could about space, and that her favorite astronaut is Sally fucking Ride. Which Joel managed to guess, which that was interesting too, that he knew which one it was. But then Ellie gets quiet and asks Joel if the vaccine will work, and she admits that she tried to save Sam by rubbing her blood into his bite wound. But Joel reassures Ellie, saying that if Marlene told them the fireflies could make a cure, they can too, or they can do it. Joel says that he'll take first and second watch, because apparently he doesn't ever need to sleep. Has he been doing this for 3 months?
Dude has not been going to sleep.
Because it seems like,
bro, know your limits.
Yes, they have this issue here which I'll get to. I'm putting the cart again before the horse. So Ellie can get some sleep. The next morning, we see Joel has fallen asleep, but Ellie wakes up early and has decided to take second watch. Despite Joel's protesting and his insistent that he's responsible for her, Ellie shows that she can protect herself, that he's taught her what she needs to know, and she says that she's a natural. Is this the first time that this motherfucker has slept in 3 months, that he didn't
It
do the
feels like
watch?
it's the first time he fell asleep since they like left Boston.
Is he a German soldier invading France in World War II, just methed out and can stay up for 72 to 96 hours like they did?
That's what was
That has to be
That's
it.
what was in the flask.
Yeah.
Just pure
The
meth.
flask is liquid meth.
There's your history lesson right there. The German soldiers were literally methed up invading France.
American Air Force pilots too. Bomber crews were methed up.
Were
Also,
they?
both sides of the war?
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't heard that.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it the
Everyone was methed
okay?
up.
Because like
back then.
literally,
Meth.
like literally, the German soldiers were taking like the actual meth, like from like today and all that stuff. Like it was like invented there.
Oh, like crystal.
It was like
Yeah.
that same thing. They're just like, oh, now we'll just make this recreational, which I guess is
Mhm.
worse. I don't know which is worse, recreational meth or invading France in 1940.
That's a tough one. Just mix your meth into your coffee. You won't have to sleep
In
for
your
months.
flask. Just slosh it
Liquid.
around.
Liquid meth. Yeah.
The Joel Miller special, the potion that keeps you going.
There you go. Anyway, even though she's done a good job, Joel insists that the next time he falls asleep like that, Ellie should wake him up.
Next time my meth coffee wears off, you need to wake me up.
I wasn't supposed to sleep this time. I'm wondering, like, he did show her, like, he shows her how to take, like, how to keep watch, you know, how to do the high ground, check her six, etc. Like, but man is just, it's not that he doesn't trust her. It is that, like, he feels responsible to do all of this.
Mhm.
So it's like, fuck sleep, which is the worst thing ever because you have to actually watch this kid and make sure she's okay. But
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
it's-
so
It's not just that they need sleep. They're literally walking across the United States.
yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But I
In the
also
snow.
will say that I don't think he trusts her still. And I think that's why. If he did trust her, I think he would sleep.
I think it has more to do with he just doesn't want to place that burden on her.
Yeah.
I think like it's kind of like a martyrdom sort of complex with him. Like it has to be me. It's like it's a protective instinct he has where he wants to protect her from that, but he kind of couches it defensively, like don't do what I say. Like it kind of comes out gruff, and it comes out like he doesn't trust her. But I think deep down it's more like it's a protective thing. He's a complicated guy. He's hard to read.
Yeah, all the meth coffee. But
And meth and whiskey.
but I digress. Joel and Ellie cross a bridge over the river with no problem, and Ellie shows that she's trying to learn how to whistle. And Joel tells Joel that he should teach her how to hunt. Which by now I'm really surprised he hasn't done that. But yeah, whatever. You know, they come across a dam and another river, and Ellie states, "What if this river is the river of death?" And soon after, a group of masked and armed people surround them on horseback, which, how fucking convenient. And, the group separates Joel and Ellie, and they bring out a dog who they say can smell infected. But I think that was bullshit, to be honest. Like, we train, how do you train? Like, I get dogs, like, I know I'm going into the weeds here, but I know you can train dogs to smell things. Like, you can even train dogs to detect cancer. I get that. But like,
Mhm.
I'm just like, how do you? But like those are like special cases to prove that you can. How did they train this dog to smell someone who is infected?
Well, I think it seems like it comes naturally to dogs with cordyceps anyway, because remember the first episode, the neighbor's dog had gotten loose and was like kind of staring at the Nana at the beginning
Oh yeah,
because Nana was infected and the dog knew it.
oh yeah. That dog got the
So-
fuck out of Dodge though. That dog was like,
Oh, yeah, he did the smart
dog
thing.
was
I'm
like,
getting the hell outta
save
here.
me.
But yeah, it almost seems like any dog, no matter like regardless of training, can just smell the cordyceps. And I guess if you raise it, if you reward it, you can train dogs like just, hey, if you maul a runner to death, we'll give you a treat, and you do that enough times, and you got a sniffer. Like,
And I wonder, like, I guess animals, it's not like bad for an animal to like rip them. I'm thinking way too much into this, but
yeah,
but like ultimately the dog checks both Ellie and Joel and clears them both. So like the dog, that's why I call bullshit on this, because the dog couldn't detect the fact that she was infected.
yeah,
It was a
loophole.
little, it was was bullshit. But
it's also been 20 years, so which is what, like 17 generations of dogs. I don't know. I'm not good with dog years or anything.
Yeah.
That's like 17 generations of dogs. That's like one dog.
I don't know.
I mean, if
how
it
long
had,
do dogs live?
Like 15 years.
Oh, do they?
Something like that.
Yeah, that's like
Oh,
one.
yeah.
That's like 2 generations.
You make it sound like dogs live
Yeah,
5 minutes.
Yeah, I had to do that mental math in my head. I was like, hold on.
Like, wait, what?
I said I'm not good with years.
Yeah.
No, I think that's plenty of time to like figure out. Oh no, dogs can sniff it out, and if we train them the right way, then yeah, you got guard dogs. It's people have been making dogs do jobs like that since the dawn of time. It checks out to me. But
True.
No, it isn't. You're right though, Lawrence. It is interesting that like Ellie obviously has cordyceps in her system, but the dog didn't sniff it out that time. So I don't know if it has to like be in their brainstem for a dog to actually detect it or something. Yeah, it's science mumbo jumbo.
This is also something we posited on the path. This is a question for anybody out there who has trained like drug dogs or, like you said, cancer dogs. Like, they would be able to know better off if something like this would be able to be done, and the reaction of a dog to be able to do it.
Yeah, because they also train the dog to attack. So yeah, that's actually a good question. If you know the answer to this, please send us an email. Because
if you're a dog trainer, you think you could train a dog to sniff a mushroom virus? Because like, I'm curious, or maybe to find some. We'd love to hear from you.
Find some meth and coffee in a flask. I'm not gonna stop that joke, by the way.
No, the meth coffee stays. Yeah. So luckily, luckily Joel and Ellie survived the encounter with the fungi sniffing dog, and Joel actually mentions that he's looking for his brother, and a woman in the group who seems to be kind of not necessarily in charge, but she's she takes charge and asks what his name is. Says his name is Joel. It seems like that's good enough for them to be brought back to the compound that this group of masked riders came from, and we see the community of Jackson, a thriving compound with a wall that looks like it was literally built from scratch with like, scrap wood and metal. These people did the hard work to build a wall around their town. And there's people here. There's families, kids, elderly folks, just entire families playing, thriving, living their lives. It made me think of one of the lines from the game I really like, where Tommy says, "Remember when we thought people couldn't live like this anymore? Well, we're doing it." And so that made me think of, I like that line a lot. And it really is in my head when I see this like Main Street type thoroughfare where kids are playing and there's shops and people just kind of doing chores and going about their work. And then as Joel's being led into the town on horseback, he sees Tommy. He sees his brother off in the distance, working on a scaffold of some kind, and just calls out to him, just yells his name, holds his hand up. And Tommy looks over with this look of disbelief on his face. Like they both can hardly believe what they're seeing, and they run toward each other, hug each other. They're both overjoyed. And this brought a tear to my eye. This was a very heartfelt reunion. I love this scene. It was done really well. And it was what was the cherry on top though was Tommy asks Joel, "What are you doing here?" And Joel just kind of laughs and says, "I'm here to save you." And they both look around like, no one needs saving here. This is like the best place anyone could end up. And, they just kind of laugh at the absurdity of it. They both laugh together, and it's just a beautiful scene. Really well done.
Communist Jackson. One of the things I did like about this scene is like, you can see in the background, there's a lady in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, can you only like that has to be like unheard of. Cause like we saw in the last, 2 episodes ago, what happened to someone who got shot in the spine. But like, you can also just imagine like someone, like in this world, it's almost nearly impossible to take care of someone with any sort of disability. So like, it's just like a testament to like how thriving this community is.
That's a really good point. Like, this is a world in which it's literally the survival of the fittest. It's really down to that bare bones. If you can't protect yourself, you're dead. But yeah, in a place like this, seeing that people with disabilities are still valued and taken care of, like that's how you're back in civilization, basically. So that's a really good point. That's something I noticed too.
This is like a Shangri-La that exists outside of the other worlds that we've seen, where the Fedra, the Fireflies, and all of that. Because up until this point, I don't think there's too much room for anybody with a disability. But here,
Mhm.
it seems fine. And Tommy, Diego Luna, a fellow Texan, so good to see him again. He looks a lot better than Joel. His life has been a little easier since
Yeah.
they've split up.
A little less stressful,
Just a
maybe.
little bit. Joel looks like death walking.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
when you quit the quit the bullshit military and you like also are not a smuggler like your brother. You get like you just like I love seeing them next to each other. I was like, damn, because Tommy was not that much younger than Joel, and I'm like, your
Mhm.
hair still has its color. You have a mustache that's good.
Skin's a little
Yeah,
clearer.
like everything. I was like, you look like you're eating good. You drink like I just like, damn.
It's all about that clean mountain air, boys. It's if you just get outside up in the Rocky Mountains,
Because
yeah,
he's
it's
got to be
all
at
you need.
least 50 years old. Because they said he was a Gulf War vet, which I think that was 1990 to 91, something like that. It only lasted a few months. So if he was 18 there, he'd have to be like 51 maybe if he really had his birthday in 2023, if he was born in 72. So yeah, he looks a lot better. I got the mustache. So I don't know if I like the mustache. I don't know.
I like them. I like them, and I normally
It's okay.
don't like just the mustache. I was like, this suits you.
It looks okay. I like it more than the mullet. He's kind of rocking the mullet there a little
Yeah,
bit. That doesn't really agree with him if you ask me.
All the denim.
yeah. He's denim warrior.
He's in that Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, well, they are filming in Canada, so there you go. Maybe that's what they
Mhm.
to film in Canada. They're like, somebody has to wear this. They have
Whole
to do it.
It's a
Levi
law.
suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of the law up there. Yeah. That's actually a good point. Someone I know pointed out that this town is supposed to be like it's supposed to take place in the real life location, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And someone pointed out like the community of Jackson that we see on the show looks nothing like the real life Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So like there's a bit of a recurring theme here. Like 10 miles west of Boston in episode 3 looks nothing like central Massachusetts. Like there's no way there's that many mountains. So yeah, there's a bit like if there's one area this show is lagging in a little bit, it's the setting, I guess, like the real life compared to where the show setting is. But hey, that's a minor complaint.
Yeah,
For me.
Jackson Hole is a very popular place for like ultra rich.
Mhm.
Phil Jackson, famous basketball coach. I think he lives up there. No, is it Montana or Jackson? I can't remember if it's up there. But a lot of people have places there. It's a big retreat for the ultra rich to get
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Take that.
Resort
Now it's a
town.
communist haven.
Very poetic.
There you go. Ultimate revenge.
All right, inside a cabin/dining hall, Joel and Ellie cram down food while Tommy and Maria, the woman who asked Joel's name, watch. Ellie sees a girl watching her from a distance, and Ellie yells at her, but Maria says the kids aren't used to seeing people that look and talk like Ellie. I don't think anybody is, at least talk like Ellie.
Yeah, I was like, look, the look part. I was like, you're not used to seeing like a white girl.
Yeah, she's just a kid.
Yeah,
What's so weird about her?
that's
Yeah.
I was like, that was a weird comment, but
I do love like she just like stares across the room and goes, "What?" And the girl runs off.
Ran her
Like,
off.
What?
a lot of people thought that was Dina.
People have been saying that's probably Dina. I think even Neil Druckmann sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge was like maybe, So yeah.
So Tommy says Ellie and Maria got off on the wrong foot, and Ellie says that Maria's people were going to kill them. Tommy says that they have to be careful who they let in this place, and when Ellie mentions the dead bodies, Maria says, those are the people who tried us. Tommy follows by saying that a bad reputation doesn't necessarily make you bad, and Maria says, not always, at least, while she stares down Joel.
Oof. Yeah.
Subtext.
Staring daggers at him. Yeah.
This is the part where I was like, yeah, it feels like they're trying to draw some comparisons between those two. Like I don't know. It felt like yeah, the common thing that Joel and Maria have is Tommy. Like Tommy's obviously trying to say like, oh yeah, hey, just because you have a bad reputation, like that's Tommy defending Jackson and also trying to show how much he's changed to Joel. I feel like it's like, hey, we did all that shit. I forgive you. I don't judge you. Blah blah blah. And at the same time, like, hey, we have to do some stuff in Jackson to keep it safe, so I could justify it. But like. Maria's they're kind of painting her like Joel, like how Joel was like, I murdered people, but I did it to survive. She's like, yeah, I murder people, but I do it to keep this community safe.
Yeah.
That's why I wish they would
That's a good
have
point.
showed the bodies.
Yeah, and we also don't know what Tommy has told Maria. He could have said all that bad shit we did. Oh, that was Joel. Or Joel, big brother, I was just a little brother. I didn't know any better, despite they were in their fucking 30s.
Yeah, he could have spun it.
Yeah, you're right.
I was a little kid. Weren't you like 34?
Yeah.
I was just a little grown man.
Yeah.
Wee grown man. Just
Baby man.
Yeah, just normal men. Just innocent men. Joel then mentions that while he appreciates the hospitality, he'd like a moment with just family. However, Tommy says that Maria is family and that they are married. Dun dun dun.
Ooh.
Now she's really gonna be in your business.
Now you can't get rid of her.
She's really gonna be in your business
And-
now that you made that mistake. I'm like, uh-oh. But Tommy and Maria take Joel and Ellie on a tour of Jackson, which probably was like the best damn thing in the world. But
Oh yeah.
Maria says just a handful of people started the settlement 7 years ago, and there are raiders and infected nearby occasionally, but the people of Jackson have learned to stay quiet and off the radar. And one way they've done that is staying off the radios, which explains why Tommy's been gone. Stay off the radios, no one will track you. And at the mention of this, Tommy looks at Joel almost like an apology for not remaining in contact, because he knows he's about to hear about that shit later. And Jackson has everything: a school, electricity, laundry, heat, sewers, and for Joel, they even have sheep.
Wow.
Yeah, damn. And while
What a coincidence.
like while we get a glimpse of Jackson in the first Last of Us game, the Jackson we see in this episode is very much the Jackson of Last of Us Part 2. Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
It's super developed and impressive community that has all the comforts that one could hope for in a world, and a place that anybody would be just fucking happy to call home.
Yeah. A place no one really expects to see anymore in a world like this. Like no one really. Yeah, I just keep coming back to people think it's not possible to live like this anymore, but in Jackson they're proving that it's possible, and that it's about as good as it gets anywhere. If you could settle down anywhere, this is the place to do it.
This is realistic communism. This is not that bullshit that they feed you, the propaganda nonsense that's actually a dictatorship.
Speaking of which, yeah, I mean, Maria mentions, Ellie asks, like, so are you in charge? And Maria says, oh, well, no, I'm on the council, though. We're democratically elected. We all, make decisions collectively. And, Tommy helps explain that everything you see here is shared. It's like collective ownership of all the resources. And Joel kind of puts it out there. So it's like communism then. And it's so funny because Tommy at first is like, well, no, not like that. It's not
Communism.
Maria. Don't call it that. But Maria corrects and she says, well, technically, that's exactly what it is. This is a commune. We live in a commune. We are communists. Yeah. And the look on Tommy's face is just, wait, what?
They fucked up his whole world.
The wheels are spinning and all those calculations are done in his head. But I like that Joel says it almost, not with disdain, but as he looks towards Tommy. So like communism. Like he knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's just kind of like putting it out there, like it's like, yeah, like that's right, Brad. He's like not really. That wasn't like a scoff that Joel does, like communism. No, he just kind of says it like curiously, like communism.
Oh, see, I thought he said it more like communism, as this to be like Tommy, like communism, like as if Tommy was the most ardent anti-communist. Maybe maybe had some work in the CIA or something.
It's one of those. It's like And I like it because it's like, I'm meeting my brother's wife now for the first time. And it's like, we've all had that. If you have siblings, you have that time where you meet like the person that your sibling is dating or with, and you see how they act around them. And then you have to compare that against, like how they are around you and shit. So it's like, really? Communism? Okay.
Yeah. They said it was a collective. They didn't say the magic words about means of production,
that's
material dialectics or anything like that. But okay, we have to walk. We have to walk before. But
it's a starting point, yeah.
It is. And it was an interesting thing, again, to show in there. And they bring up, like I said, like the dictatorship that even the literal previously mentioned CIA, when Stalin died and they're talking about like successor and all that, the CIA memo actually says like, no, it was not a dictatorship by what we refer to as dictatorships. I don't know why that's still generally in United States education, because I know it is, because I don't teach U.S. history anymore, but it's in there about the dictators. So I guess some things just kind of have to stay in there. So for them to kind of put that out there, it's like, oh, okay, good. It's like a first among equals kind of thing is what Stalin was and what I assume Maria kind of is also.
Well, it goes to show that like Americans as a general group, like, don't have a problem with the concept of collective ownership, of communal living. It's more the word. There's just the stigma on the word. When you say communism, most people have the reaction that Tommy has. Like, no, it's not like that. But no, it literally kind of is in some way, at least. On some
when you
level.
blast an entire generation with nothing but propaganda, it's
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Grow up during the Cold War, and you'll come out of that like
generations.
Yeah.
But it's another thing too, and it's whenever I like talk about it, I generally, I should say, don't talk about it in detail unless it's somebody else who I know understands like the basic wording of it.
Right.
And there's a reason why. And I always ask them, like, are there any communist countries? Are there any communist economies on Earth right now? And the answer to that is no, because you can't have it as long as capitalism exists. It's why you have communist parties, but it's socialist countries, because you have that's that transition that, at least if it's Marxist or anything like that, you have to have the transition from capitalism to socialism to communism. And to have communism, you can't have this outward exertion, if you will, of capitalism, which obviously, again, if you know about the CIA and what they've been doing since 1947, you know there is a lot of exertion into these socialist countries trying to get there. And so that's just another thing, like you talked about. It's just an education thing. And in the United States, it's vastly different than, for say, like European countries.
I would like to say that it was a pleasure podcasting with us, because we're all going to get killed after this.
Yeah, I think the black SUVs are pulling up outside our houses right now.
Yeah, this episode's never going to come out, but if anyone finds this recording, just know it was a pleasure.
Well, speaking for myself, fuck the CIA. I don't care. Fuck you, motherfuckers.
It was good knowing you guys. I think I'll have a drink.
For myself.
I'll have a drink
with
myself.
all due respect.
You're not. You've been feeling
No,
okay,
fuck
right,
that.
Brett? You haven't
No
been like
respect.
having any depressive thoughts or.
Well, yeah, I'm a history major who teaches world history. Of
Yeah,
course
they're
I'm
going to be
depressed.
like, yeah, no, Brett was just troubled.
He's very troubled. Shot himself twice in the back of the head. Who could have seen it coming? You know, it's really, really tragic.
I, for one, I apologize. Brett will accept a suitcase of money for my silence. So, so thank you.
Anyway, let's talk about baby horses.
Yeah. Yes.
So after establishing that Jackson is technically a commune, Maria introduces the group to a young foal, a baby horse named Shimmer. We remember Shimmer, right?
Yeah.
We love Shimmer. So that was cute, baby horse. And Maria also offers Joel and Ellie a place to stay. Hey, the house across from us is open. You can stay the night there, get some rest. And Tommy says you could do a lot worse. And Ellie says, "Trust me, we have been." And Joel gets defensive at this. Like, we've been okay. We've been doing fine. So it's awkward. There's a lot of awkward exchanges going on here. Like Joel being defensive, Ellie being defensive, because she's like kind of assuming like she's kind of primed to react to abandonment situations. I feel like in this episode, like her abandonment issues come out here, and even if you go back to where Tommy and Joel reunite, she looks uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
She's watching Joel and Tommy embrace, and she looks uncomfortable with the idea that, oh, he has his brother back. What if he doesn't need me anymore? Like I might be reading too much into it, but like I'm just kind of thinking Ellie has her hackles up, her defenses are raised for I better not be abandoned right now. So,
100% agree with that. Yeah.
I'd like to know how there's a house open. Everybody here that we've seen has a house to where there's open houses. Damn.
Yeah,
That's communism for you. There's always a house open in the world of communism.
It's everyone gets a plate before anyone gets seconds, but for housing. That's how it works. I guess it's working okay there.
There's no housing market in communism, comrade.
Yeah, there's no Airbnbs, no inflationary, like rent control.
No slumlords.
Taken care of. Literacy rates higher. People in Cuba now have a longer life expectancy than the U.S. But we get to have freedom, and we get to suck in that freedom every day.
We get to buy out every house in a neighborhood and raise the tax rates, and
we have the freedom to go into debt from like breaking a finger.
Right.
Go into crippling debt.
The freedom to get shot at the movie theater.
Jackson is just goddamn un-American.
It really is.
Yeah, isn't that why it's good?
Yeah.
That's why we love it.
Oh,
Can't wait to hear y'all's emails.
Oh my God, they're going to be so, yeah, Jesus.
From Ron DeSantis at Florida.com.
I would like to say that this episode will never hit the airwaves in Florida. It's banned. God. But, so Tommy takes Joel to a bar, which also they have bars. And so like, yeah, fuck yeah. And, you know, Tommy toasts Joel saying like, thanks for still giving a shit about me. And Tommy asks Joel how Tess is doing. And Joel lies. She's doing fine, you know, just compartmentalizing. When Tommy asked about Ellie, he just said that she's some Firefly, high up Firefly's daughter, which...
Another lie.
Yeah, it's another lie. And I'm also just like, the Fireflies like have rich people in their ranks, because I feel like a Firefly has to be a collective of poor people. Like, number, like, I don't know, or people with no power. Like, there should be no one of influence in the Fireflies, I would say.
Tell that to Marlene.
Let's say, yeah.
Like, so I'm like, higher up, like...
Well, higher up in this post-apocalyptic world of, I don't know, connections or respect.
Yeah, it's more about power than money. Like, money is obviously not a thing anymore, but there are just leaders among the Fireflies that have the, you know, like you said, Brett, respect. Some people are just born leaders, I guess, like Marlene is. So
the coordination cross-country of Fireflies seems to be difficult, considering like Fedra is really in power as far as logistics goes. Like, it seems like they'd be easily to get on their wires or whatever. I don't know. It seems like it'd be very hard to coordinate a post-apocalyptic uprising across the continental United States.
Especially in George Bush's America.
It will always be George Bush's America because this happened in 2003.
Yes.
we're stuck there. Yeah.
America. W put all the pieces in place to make sure that society will never move forward in this timeline and in that one. So, you know, hey. But
but anyway.
Yeah, Tommy, yeah. But moving on. Tommy questions, you know, if he's doing this out of the goodness of his heart, like, you know, transporting Ellie. And Joel says that there's a payment, which, yeah, we are so far beyond that now. Yeah, because we're here we are.
To forget about that, Joel.
Yeah, like, Tommy, you're the payment technically. So, boom, I've been paid. And, you know, Joel asks if Tommy knows where the Fireflies are. And Tommy says they've got a base at the University of Eastern Colorado, which is like a week's ride south. But the path there is not an easy trip. But Joel says it'll be an easy trip with Tommy joining in, and Tommy replies that he can't go. Joel asks if his wife won't let him, and if she's the reason he quit messaging on the radio. So here we go, because like that was like, yeah, it's like, yeah, Joel. I mean, we got to remember, Joel's like what, 56? This is some like old. What does that put him in? Does that put him in boomer? He's a boom. Yeah, Joel's a boomer.
No, that's
he's a Gen Xer.
Gen X.
He's a Gen Xer.
Okay, yeah, he's one of those like
older Gen X.
Yeah, the older Gen X who like leaning boomer remark, because it was like, oh, what, you can't do anything? Your wife got you.
Well, isn't it going to be everybody either die or live long enough to become the boomer?
True.
Like everyone gets older, and it's just like, oh shit,
Joel,
you're sliding
that is what they say.
boomerism.
It's more of a attitude than an actual generation.
Yeah.
Joel has
boomer energy. Yeah.
Joel has flickered into that boomer energy with that comment, because that was a sexist comment. Oh,
I could hear the whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah.
Like, you might as well just done that from like 1997.
Yeah. Did your wife keep you from going out here? I'm like, oh God, here we go.
You whipped. Tommy states that after he ditched the Fireflies, Maria and her group found him, took him in, and all he had to do was follow their rules. Tommy says they have to be careful so that the wrong people don't find them, and Joel counters asking if he's the wrong type of people. Joel says the things he did back then were to protect them and keep them alive, and Tommy says that they both did those things, and they weren't things, they murdered people. And this, again, is something in here to get into. They keep saying this, and I don't think we're ever going to see it. But they're really kind of using this as almost like a cudgel to say Joel is bad. Joel did really fucking bad things. Those bad things in Kansas City that were going to be done to them by Brian and those other two,
yeah,
he did those things, if not worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all the way to Boston.
Yeah, real. Oh, yeah. No kidding. They would have done it. Yeah, they had their little march to Boston of Joel and Tommy. I guess they said Tess also.
Yeah,
I guess they could have.
from Texas to Boston, just trail of blood.
Yeah, just their own little march through the South up there through Appalachia. Tommy doesn't judge Joel for what they had to do to survive, but he knows that there were other ways. They just weren't good at them.
Yeah, the pent up frustration of years of conflict between them, is kind of starting to break through here. The joy of seeing each other again has worn off now, and like now they're getting into their conflicts. And this was an interesting scene because I think Tommy wants to put certain things behind him, but obviously Joel doesn't put things behind him very well, and he's kind of like he has expectations for Tommy, and Tommy's not living up to them, and so Joel's getting angry. So he's like kind of complaining, like I after what I've been through to get to you, you're gonna like blow me off like this. And Tommy then lets it out that he's going to be a father, and that's why he's sort of he's hesitant to go anywhere with Joel at this point. And he's like, I have to be more careful. I'm gonna be a dad now. I'm scared. It's natural to have these kinds of reservations when you're about to start a family. And upon hearing that he's going to be an uncle, and Tommy's expecting a kid, Joel really withdraws. This hits him.
Dick.
Yeah, he gets rude. It sets him off. Like, when Tommy says, "I think I'll be a good dad," Joel just says, "I guess we'll find out." Just like
yeah.
not exactly being very supportive of your brother right now. It's kind of awkward.
Oh shit!
And
that is top 10 shittiest things I think I've seen on TV. Just I guess we'll find out. While taking a swig of your brother's whiskey.
Yeah.
Like
that was really harsh. Yeah. And obviously Tommy doesn't take that lying down. He's like, what's your problem? Is that all you got for me? And he then drops a bomb on Joel. He says something pretty cutting here. He says, just because life stopped for you doesn't mean it has to stop for me. And this shuts Joel up almost entirely. He just kind of like stops in his tracks, and he goes quiet, gets really stern, and just says, we'll be out of your hair tomorrow. Like we'll take some supplies and we'll leave and be on our way. So again, Joel leaves this situation not getting what he needed, and his feelings kind of getting the best of him in this situation again, just like with the older couple earlier. And as he leaves the bar, he collapses, grabs his chest again, and he sees a young woman from behind who reminds him of Sarah. Kind of looks a lot like her, and he, freezes. He's paralyzed by his feelings and by what he's seeing. And as he kind of continues watching and walking toward this scene, the girl turns around and he realizes that's not Sarah. So he's losing it a little bit. He's slipping. He's not doing good.
Yeah, panic attack to seeing someone that looks like your daughter. That's like I think it's karma for what he said to his brother.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
It's definitely still showing that Joel still hasn't processed his trauma from 20 years ago or the grieving process of it. And I think that also goes back to something that's tough for us as an audience and tough for the show is to these characters 20 years ago is when this happened, when Sarah died. And then I don't remember the year that Tess and Joel went to Bill and Frank's to eat that one time. Was that like 2011 or something?
Something like that.
Either way, so since Tommy wasn't there, I think we can now infer that Tommy was gone before that. So now it's been 12, 13, 15 years since he's seen them. But for us, it's only been 6 weeks since we last saw Tommy, we last saw Sarah. And so we have to put ourselves in there, and the show kind of has to show us that way of doing it. And so clearly, I think Tommy had given up that Joel was dead, or he was just like, I'm never going to see him again. And he has processed everything they did.
Yeah.
He's okay with it. And Joel coming back, while it's great to see your brother again, is now bringing that back up with just, oh shit, I thought that life was done. And now I'm mixing this past life, pre-pandemic or pre-outbreak, early outbreak, and now in a way like post with his new life here in Jackson.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Back to Ellie, we see that she has taken a shower and Maria has left her fresh clothes, a Diva cup, to which Ellie says, "Oh, gross," and a note saying that she is across the street. Ellie goes to Maria's house and sees a blackboard on a mantle that states the names, date of birth, and date of death of Kevin and Sarah, with 2 candles in front, a memorial for the children that have been lost. After seeing this, Maria comes in, gives Ellie a jacket, and proceeds to give Ellie a haircut. She doesn't clean up the hair either, like later on before they leave. As she does this, the two talk, and Maria tells Ellie she was an attorney before all this, and Maria says she liked cutting hair, adding that it must be a mom thing. Maria mentions the memorial, and Ellie apologizes for the loss of the kids, but Maria says only Kevin was her kid, and that Sarah was Joel's daughter. Ellie's shock shows she didn't know about Sarah, and that explains Joel a little bit.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a nice little scene.
Yeah.
But like, and so Maria says she won't ask Ellie what she and Joel are doing together, but she has her concerns. Ellie states she knows Joel used to kill people, but now he doesn't kill the innocent ones anymore. And then retorts that Tommy used to do it too, asking if Maria is worried about him. And then Maria mentions, this was kind of unfair. Maria mentions that Tommy was just following Joel. Like we mentioned, they were probably like 30. Like, so it's
They're
like
grown men, making their own decisions.
Yeah, like they were old as fuck. So it's like,
Right.
you made a conscious choice. You could have objected. So yeah, she mentions that like Tommy's just following Joel and the way Ellie is following him now. And then Ellie says that maybe she's smarter than Tommy, which might be true. And Maria says it's good that Maria says that it's good that Ellie has things that she won't tell her, and Ellie should be careful who you put your faith in. The only people who can betray us are the ones we trust.
Yeah. It's interesting the way, Maria sticks up for Tommy, but looks down on Joel, even though they've been through similar things. I think one of the themes that this episode's trying to get across here is that when you love someone, that does create a bias.
Oh, hell yeah.
You're not going to be impartial to someone you love. So like, of course, Maria would stick up for the man that she made her husband and, she's expecting a kid with. And the man that her husband's brother, who she's never met until today, but has only heard an admittedly biased, maybe, skewed report of like, oh, my brother put me through hell and I have nothing but nightmares from those years. It's a line I'll get to later, but like, of course she's going to be not partial about that. So, or she's not going to be impartial about that. So yeah, it's like, and Allie's the same way. She's biased toward Joel because he's the one who's looked out for her this whole time. And so there's this discussion or there's this exploration of, when you care about someone, are you taking them for all of that they are, or are you overlooking certain things and choosing to trust them? So it's an interesting dynamic there. And I think, to Lawrence, your point, the way Maria and Joel kind of have similar qualities to them kind of plays into that as well.
Both stubborn motherfuckers.
Yeah, absolutely. And so after this tense one-on-one between Ellie and Maria, they go to the movies together where they're showing a classic called The Goodbye Girl. And, it's like, it's cool. It's cute because it's like this community thing where everyone in town seems to gather together and watch a movie together. And it's nice. It's fun. And Ellie notices that Maria and Tommy are having a conversation, and then they separate. And we then cut to Joel in looks like a workshop, kind of like a leather working shop, and he's trying to fix his shoes. And, I guess the duct tape didn't hold up. I guess, I don't know. And Tommy comes in and gives Joel a new pair of boots, saves him the trouble, and it's kind of like an apology, like, hey, here's my boot. Here's some new boots. Sorry about what I said.
Here's some Timbs.
Here's a pair of Thursdays for you.
Yeah.
But and Tommy wants to come clean, or Tommy wants to clear the air. Like, hey, I'm sorry about what I said earlier. I don't even believe it. Just kind of, they're trying to mend bridges, but Joel sticks to business. He wants to know about this route between Jackson and the University of Eastern Colorado, which Tommy mentioned earlier, possibly being a Firefly base. And Joel asks, "Hey, this trip to Colorado, is it safe? Is it a suicide mission? Do people come back?" And Tommy says, "Well, yeah, no, it's not safe, but nothing you can't handle. And we've sent people that way, and they've all come back. It's okay." And then Tommy's like, "What's this about? Like what are you getting at?" And that's when Joel finally shares to someone else, which is the first time he's done this. He admits to someone else that Ellie is immune. And I like this detail. Tommy looks out the door, the front door, to make sure no one's at the front door listening in before he sits down and says, "Tell me everything from the beginning."
As we hear Joel tell the story of what he and Ellie have been through so far, we see Ellie walking the empty main street of Jackson by herself. Back to Joel and Tommy, we see that Ellie having to shoot the kid back in Kansas City still weighs heavy on Joel. That he was too slow and too deaf, and that he was too slow and too deaf, and that he should be the one protecting the 14-year-old, not the other way around. Joel also says how he watched Henry kill Sam to protect her, while Joel just watched. Even when the dog sniffed Ellie earlier that day, Joel couldn't move in the situation, stuck in fear. Joel asked Tommy if he still thinks he can handle the trip despite all this. Even though sometimes he feels like his heart is going to stop, Joel tearfully says he has dreams every night, and while he can't remember them, every day he wakes up feeling like he lost something. Joel feels like he's even falling in his sleep, and that's all he's ever done.
Yeah. This was a good scene because he broke down in tears. It was such an emotional mess. It's you can tell Joel can't make sense of any of this shit. But this is the first time we've seen him talk about his feelings. Of course he does it with Tommy because he's not gonna open up with anyone else. Tommy's the only person that actually knows everything that Joel's been through intimately.
Yeah, and mentioning Sarah to someone else for the first time in probably 20 years or something close to that. Because I keep failing her. That's all I've ever done. He's admitting that he's never stopped thinking about how he lost Sarah that night and that he dreams about it every night. So for him to say this out loud, it's a lot. And obviously it weighs on him with the emotion on his face and in his voice. It's cracking and he's in tears. Yeah, this was powerful.
He also knows that Tommy, loves Sarah too, that while that wasn't his daughter, they were super close, as evidenced by that memorial with Maria's son, and it's essentially Tommy's niece, that he still thinks of her as something like that close to him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know what I found interesting about this scene? Is when he talks about killing the kid or Ellie shooting the kid in Kansas City. He was like, if I was 5 years younger, I would have, they wouldn't have been able to get the jump on me. I wouldn't have been
destroyed him.
Yeah. And so Joel is technically in the show is 5 years older than what he was in the game.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I was like, oh yeah, that's a little nice point there. I was like, Joel, if you had been the actual age you were in The Last of Us, controlled by me, you would have destroyed that kid, and I wouldn't have needed a 14-year-old to see.
If it was the Troy Baker version.
Yeah, the Troy Baker version, a total decimation of that teenage person.
But it's also something that gamers need to let the fuck go. That this is not a fucking video game.
Yeah,
the whole point of a video game, and it's a big thing, and there's definitely issues with it, is it's a power fantasy.
Yeah.
And it has to draw out. You have to be able to do things in a game to drag out the time. It wouldn't be fun to walk somewhere for 15 minutes and kill 3 people.
Yeah.
You have to have those almost set pieces in doing it. This is a realistic show. That's why we like HBO in particular. That's why we like TV and film. It's a fucking 56-year-old man who was a contractor, as we find out. That's hard fucking labor. Yeah. And he spent the last 20 years post-apocalypse fighting for his life. This is not a normal 56-year-old now. This is who God knows how old his body is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, 100%. Plus, he's got the weight of all the deaths on him. So.
Yeah, forget about the mental stress, just the physical.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so, man.
And the stress that he's carried from blaming himself for his daughter's death 20 years ago.
Yeah. He is unwell.
Definitely.
Get some therapy, Joel. God.
Impossible.
Men will do anything than go to therapy. They'll take girls halfway across the country rather than go to therapy.
Jackson has everything else. It probably has a therapist.
I would imagine, because look at Tommy. He seems pretty good. Tommy looks like he's actually been going to therapy.
They'll just ask somebody really old, hey, did anybody watch Frasier? The show Frasier? Oh, I watched them all. Okay, you're now the psychiatrist.
Yeah, you just do what he did on that show. It worked for Tommy. I mean, his hair looks nice. His skin is clear. He's got a mustache. Therapy works.
Yeah, for everybody under 30, Frasier was a sitcom back in the 90s. That
Ask
was
your
a
parents about it.
psychiatrist from Seattle.
Yeah.
It's the most cheeky show that was ever made. So Tommy asks if he wants him to take Ellie, and Joel says he knows he's going to get her killed. Joel thinks he has to leave her to save her and mentions that isn't that why Tommy left? Or isn't that why Tommy left Joel? Jesus, to make up for the things that they did. Well, here's Tommy's chance to bring his child into a better world. That is a lot of guilt. That is a huge guilt bomb. But hey,
manipulation to the max.
Tommy,
there.
abandon your wife and your kid to take this kid that you just met today to see the Fireflies and take it off my hands for me, because like you definitely won't die.
Seriously.
And so like guilts Tommy into it, and Tommy is like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll do it. I will like literally fuck up my family right now. Because Joel also adds the sprinkles in the added bonus, so you can't tell your wife. Oh, like this is like, I'm like, dude, if you have been going to therapy, this is what they call a red flag. Don't tell your wife.
Don't tell your wife.
I'm like, ooh, I don't know, man, I gotta go. But Joel, Joel knows that if anybody sees Ellie's bite, that they'll shoot her, they'll put her down. Joel, swears as he cries, like this is the last thing he'll ever ask, so you better live. So Tommy says that he'll take Ellie out at dawn. The brothers head out for the night as Joel heads back to where he's staying, while Tommy heads back to the movies, where Maria can tell something has changed, mainly because he doesn't walk up to his pregnant wife. He just sees her, makes eye contact, and then turns around.
Soulmates, they know each other.
So as Joel gets back to the house that he's staying in, he sees that Ellie's light is still on, and he goes up to talk to her. He finds Ellie reading a journal that had been left behind by someone from the before time, from before the outbreak. And she's, reading this diary from some teenage girl probably, and she's remarking on the amazing fact that people before the outbreak only had to worry about things like, the boys at school and what they were going to wear and, what music was out. And this pulled straight from the game. It's a great scene. It's starting out strong already. And Ellie is also cold toward Joel and kind of asks him bluntly, why are you still here? If you're going to ditch me, then just go ahead and ditch me. And so Joel he puts two and two together, and he realizes, oh, she must have overheard his conversation with Tommy. And he asks, what exactly did you hear? And she says, I heard you say, I have to leave her. You have to take her. And, she looks exasperated. She looks frustrated. Like, I stood up for you today with Maria. I stood up for you to her. And she doesn't finish that thought, though. She kind of says, I stood up for you because, and then she kind of trails off. And I think what's unsaid there is that, I stood up for you because I trust you now. You have looked out for me. I've looked out for you. It's been a bond. It's been a bonding experience. Not a good one, not a healthy one. It's been, obviously painful and tragic in a lot of ways, but they have bonded, and that's why she stuck up for him. But Joel is adamant, though. He has put his foot down, telling Ellie, this is for your own good. You'll be better off with Tommy. You don't want to be around me anymore. I'm bad news. I won't be able to keep you safe. And Ellie demands to know, like, do you give a shit about me or not? He says, well, of course I do. And says, well, then what are you so afraid of? And here's the big moment. She says, I'm not her, And she reveals that she knows about Sarah. And this was heavy because in the game, we had that iconic line, you are on some mighty thin ice here. Yeah. But here in the show, Joel just says, don't say another word. It's cold. It's blunt. It's to the point. It's quiet. He's not raising his voice yet. He just says, no, don't say another word.
Yeah, that was
chills, man.
Yeah, this was the scene from the game. So like, this was like the scene that shows that like they have formed some sort of relationship together, and that they're, that like Ellie actually, looks at Joel as like a father figure. And I think they nailed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was great.
And it shows that despite all the time spent together, they're still not that close.
Yeah.
As close as we want them to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they still have the whole compartmentalizing thing. And I mean, just this journey, just the shit that they've seen. I mean, like we said, the beginning of this thing opened up with someone shooting themselves in the head. So like that was just, that was just last episode's problem. It's been a wild roller coaster of nonsense.
But at least on a lighter note, is at least reading that journal, and she's talking about, is this what they had to complain about? It seemed like it's like almost Ellie's version of a not like other girls kind of thing, where I'm not like other girls. I don't care about boys or stickers.
Being a pick-me.
I care about the cordyceps vaccine and spinalizing young men in Kansas City. I'm not like other hashtag not like other girls.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had that to say, but I'm like, I can't say that right after Connor covered that like real thing. I'm like, no, you better lay that low a little bit.
You picked your moment right.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't say it right after we gotta do it. But well, never mind. I guess it was kind of in the middle of it. So Ellie apologizes for Joel losing his daughter, but Ellie says she's lost people too. Joel says you have no idea what loss is, and Ellie, knowing Joel doesn't have a monopoly on pain, says everybody I've cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. And she pushes Joel. And this is always something too, like as Joel's saying that, I'm like, Joel, you don't fucking know.
Yeah.
You don't know her. Like, since you have known her, everybody she's known has died, which would just literally be Tess, Henry, and Sam. But it's like, dude, you don't, like, I don't know. When people say, maybe because I've watched so many shows like this, it is something where you should always think that so bad stuff has happened to you. You're not the only fucking person, and you don't know people's history.
Yeah.
That boomer energy.
It's a character flaw.
Yeah.
Joel can't see past his own pain. That's just one of his flaws. That's one of the things we like about him. It's texture,
It's like when an older person tells you that you don't know how you haven't lived yet because like they're older than you, and like, trust me, I've been around the block. And I'm like, yeah, I have no feelings, I guess. Like I'm a robot until I'm 60.
But that is something, as I deal with teenagers every day, that I do tell them. And I actually had a kid. He was having a hard day and he had to go like walk around, and he asked me in a roundabout way, basically saying that he was having an issue with like a girl. And I'm like, dude, however you feel is fine. It's good. Be sad if you're sad. Otherwise, I go, just know that so much of this shit is not going to I didn't say fucking. I was like, is not going to matter as you get older. And I said it again today. Some girl told me today, it was her birthday. Her boyfriend broke up with her 1 hour before dinner.
Oof.
On her birthday.
Wow.
And she was like, yeah, I cried. I was like, you know what? I go, I'm sorry because I started laughing. I'm like, that's kind of, I'm not really, well, because it's fucking funny. And she was good with it now. It happened like last week or something. And I told her, I go, you know what? It's going to suck. You're going to feel embarrassed. I go, but you now have a story you will tell you die. Yeah. And people are going to laugh, and you're going to talk about it with your husband and your kids or future boy, whatever. I go, that's a really fucking funny story that you're going to be able to have. And it's just stuff like this doesn't fucking matter. And so that right here is kind of thing like you talked about. I don't ever tell them like, oh, y'all are young, it doesn't matter. But I do tell them so much of this high school bullshit you're not going to care about. You're just going to laugh and be embarrassed about later.
Yeah, and it's like some pain hardens you in a good way.
Yeah.
And it's like it depends on how you process it and how you move forward. Like we see that in this episode with Tommy. Like Tommy had the same shit happen to him that Joel did. And it was how he moved forward eventually when he could, that like shaped him into what he is right now. Joel hasn't moved forward. He is stuck in that same, time stopped moving for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some things are more like there. She continues, so don't tell me that I'd be safer with somebody else, because the truth is I would just be more scared. Aw, she's opening up, lowering her guard. Mm-hmm. Joel replies, you're right. You're not my daughter. For fuck's sake, Joel. And I sure as hell ain't your dad.
This was the Han Solo, like, I love you. I know.
Total pimp answer.
No,
shut up, baby. I know it.
This is worse. This is him saying, not only it's not an I know. This is, no, you're not my daughter. Yeah. Like, this is the opposite. This is the harshest thing. Was this too harsh for y'all?
Yeah, it was harsh. It was harsh. This was beyond tough love.
So harsh.
Like, I get it. He was trying to break the bond. Like, this is the go on,
Yeah.
get. But, like,
This is
the dog
this is
running away.
Airbud.
Yeah.
Airbud trying to get rid of the dog. Like, go on, no one wants you here.
Wait,
yeah,
that happened in Air Bud?
Yeah,
it did?
Oh.
and Harry and the Hendersons. It's kind of a trope.
What about Air Buddies?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Well, I haven't either, but wasn't there one called Air Buddies where it's like puppies?
I don't know.
What about the monkey that could play hockey? Did they do it to him
I don't
too?
fucking know.
Not the monkey that could play hockey. God damn it.
God.
MVP, most valuable primate.
You're making that up.
No.
That's not
Google
real.
it. Google it right now.
What?
While
No.
I finish the rest of this, you Google it.
Oh my god.
Not my dad, sure ain't your dad, before saying that they're going their separate ways. After this moment, Joel thinks back to decorating the Christmas tree with Sarah, remembering the daughter he lost after choosing to abandon the closest thing he's had to a daughter since.
Yeah. Had a bit of regret there, Joel. But yeah. The next morning, nobody watched Most Valuable Primate, but the next morning, Ellie.
I googled it and it's a real movie.
Yeah,
You're
it
right.
is. I know.
I couldn't believe it.
And what's it about? What's the cover?
It's about a monkey who plays hockey.
It's a monkey playing hockey.
No, sorry, not a monkey. Not a chimp. Not
It is a
monkey.
chip. Wait,
Yeah, it's a chimp.
isn't a chip a type of monkey?
A chimp is a member of the great apes family.
Oh,
not a
you're right.
monkey.
It's an ape.
Yep.
Okay, well,
Yep.
fuck me.
Sorry. Go
I
on.
forgot. Chimps though are like 99.3 or 99.7% the same DNA as us. So,
So should
to all you chimps listening out there, my fucking bad.
so should I be drinking during this? Because I just need to know. Should
I
I
already
be?
said I am.
I've got my water. That counts as drinking.
Yeah, I have coffee. I have coffee and water. I think I should hit the whiskey so I
Yeah.
can.
Look, mine's a full proof. It's 114 proof. So.
I have an empty stomach right now. I probably shouldn't drink until
Dude.
I have some food.
I've got an empty stomach and a full bladder. So if you thought I was wheels off already, it's only going to get.
All right. More
Holy
chaos. This is a good spot to take a break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right. So now that we're back from that exciting, what was that Major League Chimp thing? Or God damn
Most
it.
valuable primate.
Yeah. Now that I'm back from watching Most Valuable Primate, let's continue. The next morning, Ellie has her stuff ready to go as she waits in her room. She hears a knock on the door and Tommy walks in. She takes a second, recognizes that this is her new traveling companion, and leaves with him. When they get to the stable, Joel is there prepping a horse. Because of course Joel is there. He's an old man softy. Ellie asks if he came to say goodbye, and he says no. I came here to steal one of these horses and go. Then Joel says to Ellie that she deserves a choice. He actually says like he was gonna steal a horse and then it's been 30 minutes. And so now he's just like, listen, you deserve a choice. And before he could even finish the argument as to why Tommy is a better companion than he is for Ellie, Ellie says, let's go. And let's go to Joel. And then that kind of just forces him to get on the horse. So basically Joel is just kind of grandfathered in to be with Ellie. And it's just like, it just shows that she doesn't share any of those same concerns. She is happier. She feels safer. And the trip is going to be more enjoyable if it is with Joel because they have that connection. Also, it's fucking awkward. Tommy is like about to be a dad and doesn't want to do this shit. He was guilted into this trip. This is going to be the most like just shitty road trip ever.
Yeah, so this is a huge relief for him.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's like, well, I get to stay here. That's great.
And my wife, I mean, Tommy's about to turn around and like my wife's about to whoop my ass the second I come
For
to
even
this.
thinking about doing this.
Yeah, like he's like, when I come back, I'm about to get it. Like I was like, dude, you are about to fucking get it when you get home.
He's giving up his family to go on this road trip with a disobedient girl.
That's
That's like, oh,
because of his like estranged brother. So when he gets back, she's gonna be like, really, motherfucker.
because of his broken down brother who then has to be in town with his wife. Like, yeah, that's gonna work.
So instead of giving up his, comfortable home life in Jackson, Tommy just gives up his gun. That's all he's losing in this bargain. His hunting rifle.
Yeah, his better hunting rifle than Joel had. Like, so.
Oh man! And what he gives Joel, he gives him a Remington 700 bolt action hunting rifle, beautiful piece of hardware with a variable power scope on it. Sorry, bit of a gun nerd coming out again, but this thing's a masterpiece. So Joel's packing heat now. But no, it does look almost identical to the one he had earlier. So maybe it isn't.
He called
a huge
Tommy
upgrade or
out.
anything.
That Tommy, Tommy's like, oh yeah, they just kind of wander on down here. You can headshot him from half a mile away, and Joel's
It's
like,
a turkey
you
shoot
can't fucking
out
do
there.
that. Like, shut the fuck up. You get shoot from half a mile away. Which is weird because he's the one trained, assuming he's a combat vet from the Gulf War.
Yeah.
You would think
really.
Tommy would be the sharpshooter.
Well, he did cap that one soldier in episode 1 who shot Sarah, but that was like 5 feet away.
Yeah,
so
he
it wasn't
body shot
exactly
him a couple times. Oh no, it was just the one. That's right. It was just the rifle.
Just the one.
Yeah, just a single. Or maybe. Yeah. That was a bolt action, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like the same type of hunting rifle. Yeah.
And he was also a Firefly, so he wasn't a militia.
Who knows how many bodies he stacked up as a Firefly?
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah.
And if we go by Last of Us 2, Tommy, he did teach Ellie how to shoot.
Tommy's a fucking Deadeye in part 2.
Yeah. Tommy's got some skills.
All those wolves he took out in part 2. Think about that. Yeah. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves because down the road, speaking of rifle, Joel's starting to break in this new gun that he got from Tommy. He's actually teaching Ellie how to shoot it. And, we see a few shots just kind of land on, in piles of snow or hit trees or whatever. And Joel's trying to walk Ellie through the techniques of long range marksmanship, and she's blaming the gun. Obviously, no, this thing sucks. It's not aiming right. Yada yada. And he shows her how it's done. Puts a hole through a head shaped target like a half a mile away or some shit like that. It's something crazy. And so that was fun. More bonding. It seems like they're back to normal. Like the fight they had the night before, the tension between them earlier, it's almost like evaporated. Just they're back on the road, learning from each other again. It's kind of like back to the way things should be. That's what it feels like here. And they're riding together on the horse on their way down to Colorado. And Ellie asks if the things in Jackson are how the world used to be run.
Oh, I loved this conversation.
Right? Yeah. It's like, she's like, was the entire country a one big commune back then? And Joel's like, no. What he says is interesting. Like the country was too big for that. Like it's a problem of scale. Like it's, you couldn't run an industrialized country that way is what he says, at least. And then he breaks it down. There were basically 2 types of people back then. People who wanted to own everything and people who didn't want anyone to own anything, which pretty reductive, but I mean, then again, he does say that like he wasn't really either. He wasn't really a political person. He just tried to keep his head down and do his job. So,
oh, you don't say. Yeah. No shit.
Yeah.
With those explanations.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's obviously Joel hasn't read enough theory, obviously. But no, he just kind of like says, I just did my job back then. And Ellie wants to know, what was your job? And he tells her, I was what we called a contractor back then. We built houses and stores and whatnot. And she says, cool. And he goes, yeah, we were cool. Everyone loved contractors. My favorite thing here is he has this sly little smirk, this little smile on his face that Ellie doesn't see. He's smiling to himself as he says, everyone loved contractors. And we all know that's cap. That's absolute bullshit.
That is super cap. Man is,
everyone hates contractors.
But man is yeah, you're building all of this you're building on land that is probably owned by the people that want to own everything. So it's like, Joel, you jackass. I just love that conversation.
That was funny.
Yeah, there's a lot that Joel should be the communist, considering he is a contractor who did back-breaking labor all day, and he had to do it, and couldn't spend his birthday with his daughter. Like, Joel, you fucking dunce. Again, whatever.
But I digress.
Pawn of the bourgeois.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing.
But technically, capitalism saved his life. Because if he would have had the leisurely lifestyle of someone who is involved in communism, he would have gotten a birthday cake and then turned into a mushroom person.
He would have eaten flour. Yeah.
And what probably led to that happening and being in those factories to do all that?
Gotcha.
What caused the global warming that allowed the cordyceps to mutate in the first place? Capitalism.
Is that what they said it was?
I guess
They implied it in the
Oh,
first
okay.
episode.
Did they? Interesting.
Yeah, in the first scene with the scientist, he kind of theorizes what if the
Oh,
planet
if it
warms up
that's
enough
right.
that-
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
just gonna be.
So it's implied.
I'm gonna be a denier here and say that you can't spell capitalism without cap.
Anyway,
anyway.
as I jump into traffic. One thing that Joel says, and again, this I'm glad they put it in because I'm sure a lot of people think this erroneously as well. Where Joel has this, again, if you look up like false dichotomy, it's going to be what Joel says here. Everyone wanted to own everything, or you wanted to own nothing. And again, that is another false belief of communism: is you can't own anything. When the biggest thing here is the definition, or the difference, I should say, between personal and private property. The thing about private property, again, Marx and all of that, is like banks. It's capital in that sense, like a factory. You don't own that because you're making money off of others' labor. That's like the private property. Personal property, have at it. You can have that. You can own things. It's not like, oh, the government owns everything. That's that CIA fucking Senator McCarthy
That's
Red
psyop.
Scare bullshit that has come out of it. Further down the road, we learn that it had taken them 5 days to get to the college from Jackson. Over that period, it seems that most of the barriers between these two have been lifted, as both have accepted who they are in each other's lives. The college looks abandoned as the two discuss what college was like back in the day. Joel then returns to their previous conversation, saying that if he can do anything after this, well, he always wanted to be a singer. Ellie wants to hear Joel sing, and he refuses. But Ellie says that if she's going to save the world, the least he can do is sing for her. And smiling, he agrees. As they work their way through the campus, they see a group of monkeys that must have escaped from a lab, and as they get to a street sign, the Biomedical Sciences building is marked with a Firefly logo, their first sign in a while that they are on the right track. And this was something here that stuck out as, again, other thing I've been is a former college basketball coach. I've always been in like colleges, athletics, and all that. When I saw Eastern Colorado or University of East Colorado, whatever they call it, I don't remember hearing about it. That is not a real university, at least nothing that I could find in there. But they showed in there the logo of like the Bighorns. And when I saw that, when I didn't know the name of it, I'm like, oh, are they at Colorado State? Because they're the Rams, and it looks like that. And they kind of have the colors. And also, did they mention that this was in Boulder or that they were going to Boulder?
No, I think they just said Colorado.
Okay, because I
always assumed it was near Boulder, just the location of it. Like,
yeah, because I saw something that said, oh, they mentioned Boulder, but I don't remember it. And yeah, y'all just watched it. And Boulder is where the University of Colorado is. And they're using all this Colorado State like imagery, who are the Rams and look like that. And apparently I saw something in there also that they made this look almost like Colorado State. So I don't know if someone was trolling by having all this Colorado State imagery and then seeming like it was in Boulder or something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's like, real life Colorado State is in like Fort Collins, which is near Boulder.
They're like green and gold-ish or whatever, that goofy amber color or something. But yeah, it's the Ram and it looks like that Bighorn. So I thought that was kind of like a nod to it.
It's probably just like the writers of the game, like putting something in there that sounds real, but isn't. It's close enough though.
I'm not paying for to use the. I'm not paying to.
Yeah, they didn't have the rights to UEC, I guess.
Yet there's no one around, and even though it seems quiet, Joel tells Ellie it's time for the gun.
Get your gun out. Yeah.
As they enter the building, it quickly becomes clear that the Fireflies abandoned this location as medical supplies are strewn all over the place. They find a packing list of supplies, and soon after, the duo hears a noise on the second floor. When they go to investigate, they find a pair of monkeys still in the building who swiftly run away. As they continue to look for signs of the Fireflies, Joel finds a map that shows several pins heading towards Salt Lake City with a label that says St. Mary's. So, which if you played the game, you know this reference. But the one thing I was sad about in this scene was that they didn't have the fucking scientist that got bit by the
Oh yeah.
that got bit by the monkey and then had to kill himself. Because he was infected.
That's cool. Yeah, that would have been cool because in the game you realize, you see the monkeys, like you think, oh, that's fun, that's cute. But then later you find out those are infected monkeys. And if I'd gotten close to them, like as playing the game, like it could have been a game over right there. So it would have been cool, like if the show had also had that reveal of, oh, these are infected monkeys. They killed someone already.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, because they did it through a tape recording. So I was like hoping they would have done that, just because.
Yeah.
To me, it was like I laughed at that scene because it was like, I'm a scientist and I put my finger in a fucking cage with a monkey because like
with infected monkeys.
because I was trying to show sympathy for it and it bit me.
Oh man, that guy fucked up. Yeah.
I think they had Nolan North also play that random ass character.
No, that was Stephen Bloom actually.
Oh, okay.
Who Spike Spiegel from
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop.
They
Yeah.
played the monkey?
No, he played the guy that got
No.
bit by the he played the guy that got bit by the monkey and then was like, oh shit, I gotta like
Did
it's
the
game
monkey have a hockey stick?
Yep, I walked into that one.
my
I
God.
walked into that one.
Fun fact: these are actual monkeys, not apes.
Oh, there you
like
go.
Chimpanzees.
Hey, all
This one-
fucking monkeys to me. What do I know?
Well, they kind of look like baboons, actually.
This was
I
the
don't know,
most
if that's
valuable
like
primate, and then it got infected. Then it went from hockey to science.
That should have been like the lead monkey.
It was the lead
my
scientist monkey.
Yeah.
Maybe with all that research, they turned into fucking monkeys. So they
Ah,
another line they pulled from the game that landed. I like that. But yeah, so Joel and Ellie, they found nothing at this lab except some abandoned medical equipment, some packing lists that, imply that the people here moved away, and the monkeys. That's all they found. Nothing else. And so, well, they did get the clue about St. Mary's in Salt Lake City, so, they at least have a lead. But they are interrupted when they hear voices. They look out the window and they see 4 armed men with weapons. Oh, sorry. They look out the window and they see 4 men armed and with weapons walking around, looking like they could be trouble. Could be not very neighborly. We'll see. And they decide they should probably make a quick exit out the back entrance. So they start running out of the building back to the horse. And as they're getting ready to leave, Joel's attacked by one of these strangers who've shown up. And the guy breaks a baseball bat trying to swing it at Joel. It like breaks immediately as he swings it. It's like, that was a fucking shitty bat you were carrying around. If it like shatters instantly, because he kind of misses Joel and it hits the tree that the horse was tied to, I think. And
I feel like
Joel. Sorry,
I feel like that guy was off of the Joel Miller cocktail, the meth juice, because like he swung like I was like, you broke that bat on that tree. Man was like swinging.
Dude, he was on.
Either you were swinging really hard, the bat was beat to shit and was about to fall apart, or both.
He was on. Hey, this is Deacon St. John right here.
Oh God, yeah.
Who hasn't repaired his bat?
So luckily, Joel avoids getting Negan'd by this guy with a bat,
Whoa.
and but he gets his arms around the guy's head, gets him in a headlock, and breaks his neck. So a classic Joel Miller problem-solving session in effect. He's ended the threat, but unfortunately, he turns around and Ellie sees a problem. She sees that the broken, sharp, pointy handle of the baseball bat has been lodged into Joel's abdomen, and fuck, man, when he pulls that thing out, it starts bleeding. This is bad news, and so Joel's in trouble. He's badly wounded. Ellie's trying to get them out of there. They get on the horse. They start riding away right as the 3 other guys show up, realize their friend is dead, and they come after the pair on the horse with a vengeance. Ellie and Joel ride away on the horse. She shoots at their pursuers to get them off their backs, and they narrowly escape that situation.
The splinters from the bat, I can just imagine
Seriously.
all that was left inside of him.
Yeah, that's tinnitus, or that's an infection waiting to happen. That's not good.
Yeah,
He's got
Again,
the
another-
home run fever.
Shit. That's so. To quote Joel from episode 4, I think, that is so goddamn stupid. But I can't stop laughing at it.
I'm done. I'm sorry.
So I worked at a radio station throughout college. I wanted to go into radio as a sports radio station. And what they do at times like that is they do something called laying out, where someone says something like that and everyone else just like backs away from the mic to where they then go to break. So anytime I'm like,
We're going to go to break again right here.
I just back away and I'm like, that's what happens. It's called laying out.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Before being fucking derailed there. if this happens, you don't pull it out unless you're gonna have immediate attention. Unless you're gonna immediately wrap it, treat it. Don't fucking pull it out because this, like you said there, this shit is getting infected. And they
leave it in until you can stitch it up.
And they keep. There's no win scenario here. They have to get on the horse. It's a quick getaway. It's gonna be bouncing up and down. Like you're fucked anyway.
And it's 5 days back.
Yeah, but you're more fucked if you take it out and then continue to ride on. Although it seems to be probably his instinct too to be like, get this fucking thing out of my like abdomen right here.
Yeah, he wasn't thinking straight, I guess.
Now, what an idiot. If I get stabbed by a broken baseball bat, I'd know exactly what to do.
If I was there.
Buy some just homeless scavenger people,
What? Oh, damn.
Buy some homeless scavenger people. I mean,
I'm glad you brought that up. These are the most frat boy, broken ass NPC motherfuckers right here. They're just like wandering around like some hooligans or something. Yeah. Just up to no good. I was thinking, I was like, are these people trying to be like frat boys?
With no guns.
Well,
guns.
They are out of college.
So. Yeah, that's what I mean. Where they like, we're just going to squat here. The Fireflies have left, and they're just going to relive these old like glory days of like 90s frat boys.
No guns.
That's fine.
They like ball camps too.
Yeah.
Safe down the road. Joel isn't doing well, and safe down the road. Joel isn't doing well and falls off the horse. Ellie runs to him and sees that he's losing a lot of blood. She begs him to get up and she cries, saying she doesn't know what to do without him. See, Ellie's just kind of being selfish, isn't it? Same thing as before. Like, she doesn't want Joel to die, but it's just because she'd be fucked, right? As she begs for Joel to get up, with Joel not moving at all, we pan out. An acoustic version of Depeche Mode's Never Let Me Down Again plays, as it did at the end of the first episode, where we learned that music from the 1980s is used as a symbol of danger.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a great callback too. I liked that.
Yeah, I didn't pick that up.
I will say one thing I noticed about this, and what I thought was a good change actually, was that in the game, Joel falls from like a second or third level like walkway basically onto an exposed piece of rebar and gets just impaled through his guts. And in the show, they toned that down a little bit. It's like a less grievous wound, definitely, for a sharp piece of wood to pierce you maybe like a few inches into your side is definitely, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I feel like that's got to be more survivable than rebar going all all the way through your body.
After you fall from one floor up. Like, this man is 56.
Exactly,
He's like...
impaled.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's definitely a more reasonable thing for him to, like, obviously lose blood to and come close to dying to, but survive and come back from. Like, that's definitely more survivable than what we see in the game. That's what I thought, at least.
Yeah, and it's something that you can get the point across with, again, making it more realistic. Because it's the same thing with in Game of Thrones when Tyrion is almost like introduced meeting like Jon Snow out in this like stable, is in the books. He's up top. He does a like backflip somersault down to the ground. And I'm thinking it's a good thing they cut that and they didn't have like Peter Dinklage doing a fucking somersault into there. It would have looked insane.
As fun as that would have been to see.
It would have been, but it would have completely taken me like, what the fuck? Just do a somersault off of there? Okay.
I think this concludes our synopsis. We got there the long way. We took the scenic route there, but we're at the end of episode 6, Kin, of The Last of Us. And I guess we can just, I have a few thoughts. We'll try and make them quick. We'll just jump into them here. This was such a great episode for development. We see a lot of exploration and expansion upon Joel and Ellie as people here. Joel has an arc in this story, both in the game and the show, as we've seen so far. And that after seeing what happened with Henry and Sam, we're seeing that Joel is coming to grips with the fact that he has come to care for Ellie. Like, this is something that he's been pushing away. Like, he hasn't wanted to feel that way, but I think like he's sitting with that now. Like, I do care about this kid. I didn't want to, but I do. And that's scaring him. It's the fear that he could relive the death of his daughter, that he could suffer a loss like that again. Seeing that fear paralyze him was powerful. And I think just a really great storytelling choice for this episode. So I really liked the way that the show emphasized this theme of being afraid of getting close to someone. And because that was one of my favorite aspects of the game. Like, in the game, Joel is pushing Ellie away because he's afraid to lose her. And this episode did that just put a spin on it though, like in a new way. So I don't know. Just overall, I think 6 in a row of just saying loved it, no notes really, but yeah. What can you say?
Oh yeah, no. I think what I really liked about this over the game is the fact that like Tess is always kept as a central theme of importance in the show, like and like it humanizes Joel because like in the game, Tess gets rocked and like she's just out of your memory. Like I like you forget about Tess, especially by this point in the game. You have completely forgot about Tess. Doesn't exist. No one talks about her. Like it is, they bring up Sarah again, but no one ever is like, hey, what about Tess? Remember that was one person, you used to, It's like, nope, she doesn't exist. So I like that. It's like we still see after all this time, Joel is like he was affected by the death of Tess. He was affected by the fact that Bill and Frank are gone now, and like he is afraid to lose Ellie. He's affected by Sam, or the Henry and Sam situation. Like all that weighs on him. Even the kid that got the jump on him and was gonna kill him. Like it all has some sort of effect. Like he's not this like soulless video game character, that we would like to believe he is. It's like, hey, all this shit is like got me. Like he's like, I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm weak. This kid is gonna die, and it's gonna be my fault. And like,
yeah,
and like it's deep. That was it was surprising to see him break down. Like he even blames him. Like he is so self-deprecating. He even thinks that Tommy was like trying to get away from him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the vulnerability that Joel has been hiding over the last few episodes, like it's been simmering beneath the surface, and in this episode we finally see it boil over, which was very satisfying.
Yeah, y'all hit it on there about just showing that he's not a Superman, that he's very realistic, that it's not the game Joel. And as I said before, by now, if people are still holding on to that, they need to let it go, like completely, because it's completely different medium. The one thing, the criticism that I have is this is the first episode where I felt a pacing issue. So much shit happened. It was just boom, boom, boom. They start off again because they take us with the headshot in Kansas City. Then it's on the road. Then they get to Wyoming. Then they get to the university, and then they get stranded wherever they are. It's the only time where I felt it just kept going at a pace that was almost a little too quick. Now, part of that is the underlying thing of there's 3 episodes left. Next week apparently might be a flashback. It looks like we're doing a little flashback.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be the whole episode or not. But if it is the whole episode, then it leaves 2 episodes to wind this down. And there's a lot that still needs to happen, whether or not it happens by the book or by the game or not. It's the first time where I think like, oh no, is there a chance that they're rushing to the finish line? And I'm not judging it for it yet because it's just speculation. I'm obviously not saying they're going to do that, but it's just that's in my head right now.
Yeah,
you're right. This was a packed episode. Like we dealt with a lot. We kind of saw a lot of locations. We changed setting a few times, so it was I could see that being a little jarring.
Yeah, because I was like, and it's funny because like I think about it too sometimes, and I'm like, oh damn, they threw the college part in here. But then I think back in the college part in the game, and I'm like, yeah, that was just like a lot of killing. It was like a side stop. You got the flamethrower. You pick up some
You just kill a bunch of infected.
Yeah.
And
so I was like, okay, I guess this this is of no consequence. And I'm glad they didn't, like we said, it didn't have like the big firefight with the random people. But like those people were also like those people were also associated with another story that was going to come up, but I don't think that they'll probably I don't feel like they'll connect it in the same way. But like if all of next week's episode is just Left Behind, then they've got to cover 2
Have you all seen the run times for them?
Yeah.
They get shorter with the finale being like 43 minutes or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, they get shorter. And so I know it's just this stuff is in my mind.
No, now that you've said that, you're right. I'm a little concerned too because fitting in Left Behind, the story that happens with that, the kind of the flashback there, and the winter chapter, and like, same like spring, basically, like that's a lot to do in 3 episodes. It's going to be tight. It's going to be rough.
Yeah,
So.
and it's not 3 1-hour episodes, or
Yeah.
it's not even 2 1-hour episodes at the end. It's like 50 minutes or 48 minutes, and then like 43 minutes or something.
It's a little concerning. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again,
So I guess we'll
it's
see.
pure speculation what we're doing.
Mhm.
Like next
Yeah.
week may only be half of a flashback to that.
Mhm.
Part of me kind of thought that maybe while you're doing that flashback of Ellie, that we get almost like a fever dream of Joel that kind of takes us back to something. And maybe this is where he can come to terms, maybe something with Sarah or connect it. And maybe this is where they will like fully, bond together.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
wonder if they'll run. My thought, and I won't speculate on this too much, but my thought is what they might do is for the next episode is combined. I mean, I think this is basically what everybody's saying, is combined the beginning of the winter arc with Left Behind in a way where it's like we're coming in and out of flashbacks as Ellie is like attempting to care for Joel and go through the situations, and then so by the end of that episode we'll probably have Left Behind wrapped and be at I feel like Joel will be up by the end of the next episode.
Yeah, probably. That's my assumption
and
too.
then you have 2 more, and then you just have 2 more episodes of, because I was like, these are like all 3 of these points are like pivotal character development.
And considering what happens at the end, they need to land it, and they need to take their time with it. That can't feel rushed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, because
the only other thing I wanted to point out was just that I want to come back to the reunion with Tommy and Joel, because it was actually the scene in this episode that hit me the hardest was just the connection and how it was played. Pedro Pascal and Diego Luna just both really leaned into the pathos of the scene, like really just embraced the emotion of the scene, and it hit me hard. It was great. And I also thought it was a good idea to kind of break up their reunion / argument into 2 scenes, because in the game you kind of have their private conversation where, you kind of go over a lot of the exposition, like, oh, she's immune, I want you to take her. No, I can't, yada, yada. They kind of have that back and forth in the game in one scene, really. But here they broke it up into one exchange that's kind of tense, and, it's Joel saying, you owe me for this and you should do this for me. And then the second half of that conversation is a vulnerable man pleading with the only family he has left, like just really breaking himself down, like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not who I was. I'm weak. Yada, yada. I think that was effective. That was an effective choice. I think like it was good that they sort of broke that up.
Yeah.
And, just it's a pattern. Like there's things that they're pulling from the game that they are tweaking just the right ways to fit for TV and make it better for TV. So, I like that a lot. And side note, I just want to say there was this one line from the game that I really, really like that I wish they'd used. I wish they'd given this to Diego Luna to say, which is in the game, Tommy says in response to Joel says, like, I kept you alive all those years. And Tommy's answer to that is, I've got nothing but nightmares from those years.
Yeah.
And I really love that line from the game. Because Joel comes at Tommy in the game as like, I kept you safe. You owe me this. You need to do this for me. And Tommy throws it right back at him. Like, I owe you nothing. Like, you think you did me this favor for keeping me alive like that, but you really didn't. So I don't know. That would have been cool to hear, because I love that line, but it just, something that stuck out to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think in the game, Joel was more selfish, and in the show, he was more bitter. Like the show adaptation, having Joel in there, he was like much more like he was just bitter and rude, because like the things like and I like that they started off like that. It's like they started off where they left off. Like he's got, like, oh, I'm happy to see you, but I have issue, like I have take some issues with some of the stuff that is associated with between us, just like family does. And then they have a cooling off period, and then they come back together, and then they have an honest conversation. So I appreciate it, instead of like in the game where it was like, yeah, we're good. Like it was like we came in. Yeah, we came in there, we yelled at each other like motherfuckers, and then shot some people, and then came back and we're like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So
They say they bonded over the murder of all those families.
yeah. So yeah, that's what it made it seem like in the game. It was like, yeah, good times.
Well,
Yeah, wiping off
yeah,
the
it's
brain
like,
stem of an 8-year-old child that you killed to get some peanut butter.
Yeah.
We'll do that to you.
Well, those were the days.
God.
But no, I think one final point I have is that they did nail one of the most pivotal scenes in The Last of Us, which was that conversation between Joel and Ellie about like when Ellie really opened up. And I do like how they did it. I like how he just, instead of being like you're on thin ice, I do like it was just like don't just stop right now, like. And like, her actually admitting like, hey, I'm gonna be scared. Like, I'd be more scared if I was with someone else. Like, I know that Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal were both like, we wanted to hit this hard, and like we lost sleep over it and stuff. And I think they did great. Like, it's so weird to hear. Like, this has been like it's been so weird throughout this entire series to just hear lines straight from the video game that you've played so much, and then see them act it out so well.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, it's one thing that keeps surprising me pleasantly about this game is just how well they're just adapting the material and not using what doesn't work and using what does work in just exactly the right ways in almost every sense. Not like they're not. It's not perfect, but no, yeah, the way Bella Ramsey delivered everyone fucking except for you with the shove and with the tension and her voice cracking just a little. No, it was all on point, and the way Pedro handled you have no idea what loss is. Like, they were just so in it. I was so there. The immersion was absolute for me. So
Monopoly on pain, man.
Yeah. Well, Brett, any final thoughts on this episode you'd like to share?
No, that was it. Just the pacing is the one thing. I think I've ruined y'all's show enough. My apologies.
Oh, no, this was
ruined or made better.
So, Brett, thanks for coming on the show and introducing us to the world of history, most valuable primate, and a lot of other facts.
Marxist theory.
Yeah. Whenever you need
it's been a pleasure.
History, communism, or animal-based sports movies from the 90s, that's it. But no, thank y'all for having me. It was an absolute blast. Yeah, again, find me everywhere, linked with that. Other podcasts, obviously, do Wind's Howling with the Boo on the Lore Party Podcast Network. So when it comes to The Witcher, check that out. But yeah, On the Path, it was a lot of Witcher-based. We're covering The Last of Us right now. We are going to be covering another show after The Last of Us. We haven't announced it yet, but it should be a popular show that people may be interested in as well. But again, thank you all for having me.
Yes. Also,
thanks for coming.
Shout out to Lucy too.
Hey, Lucy.
Yeah,
I do. I didn't even say who I co-hosted with. I co-hosted with Lucy up there, Northern Ireland. Anybody from Northern Ireland listening out there? You have not a home, what the fuck? I don't know. My brain is shutting down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the end of the episode.
You're welcome on the path.
It's gone. Yes. There you go. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And so, Lucy hasn't played the game. So
she won't be listening because she hasn't played the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So she won't listen to this episode.
In spirit, Lucy.
Yeah.
In spirit out there. Okay. Well, that about wraps it up. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please take a second to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us grow the show. And be sure to connect with us on Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter at lore_party. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.